Hello there, my name is Anthony Barocas with AIBA Communications, and today I wanted to take a look at the Atomos Shogun Flame 4K monitor recorder. The Atomos Shogun Flame is one of the many 4K recorders out there these days. It offers a lot of bang for the buck, and I wanted to give a quick walk around, talk about some of the features it offers, and compare it to at least one other model of 4K recorder. Now here you can see I've got it showing the same video that is coming out of my JVC. I'm recording both on a JVC and close-ups with a GH4. Both of these cameras are recording in log, and when you're shooting log, one of the key things that you need to do is to assess the image. Now you can do that right here by bringing up your waveform up on the screen, so you can carefully assess your image. Before I began recording, I was actually switching back and forth between the GH4 and the JVC LS300 using the different inputs on this device because it accepts both SDI and HDMI. The JVC offers SDI out and the GH4 offers HDMI. So I was able to select two different cameras in here one at a time and compare the images to make sure that they were pretty close and that they would match in post. Now, in addition to like a regular waveform, you've got a color parade, you've got a vector scope, and you've got a close-up of the center so that you can make sure that your white balance is actually correct. So white is around the center point of white. You can change the transparency. It also offers various, let me turn that off for a second. So it also offers focus peaking, so now everything in focus is in red. It offers zebra control, so I can see what is blown out. Offers false color, and it gives you a false color scale and aspect ratio conversion. So if you're shooting 4K, but you're going to mask it down to 2.4 or 235 or 1069 or what is it, 1.9? So it offers many different ratios, 4:3. So if you're shooting for center protect, that's also very handy as well. So there's lots of capability built into this device here. Let's turn that off. So you can have multiple of those on at the same time. While you're recording, you can flag your recordings. You could say good, no good, favorite, change the color, overexpose, different things like that. And lastly, this has a very bright monitor. I did some testing outside against the Pix-E5 and the camera's own display. This display, because it's the Flame, it's a very bright display, and I really had no trouble seeing the image or the controls on this display despite direct sunlight on the screen. Even if without the hood, I could see this display. And there's even a super bright mode. But I wanted to talk mostly about the different capabilities. Now 4K recorders, both of the 4K recorders I have in for testing, which is both the video devices Pix-E5H and the Shogun Flame, both of them run hot. Now the Shogun Flame has a different way of dealing with the heat than the Pix devices does. The Shogun Flame has cooling fins here, and you can feel the heat being blown out. The screen will become hot, and you might think this is an issue because all your controls are on the screen, but it's actually not. I used this thing when the screen measured 138 degrees Fahrenheit, and I still had no problem accessing any control, so it doesn't affect the controls. It also doesn't hurt your finger. If you're going to lay your hand on it, yes, it would be hot, but just touching the screen is not an issue. Also, it has a plastic case, so no matter how hot it got, I could still put my hand on it and utilize the monitor or tilt it or adjust it or do something whatever I needed to do with it. So the heat is not really that much of an issue to me in the Atomos device as it is with the Pix device, because the Pix devices have a metal enclosure. They still have a fan like this does, and the fan blows out some small vents, but the metal case itself is designed to radiate heat. So the metal case becomes very hot to the touch, to the point where you don't want to move it or adjust it. Or after you're done using it, you want to pack it away, you want to let it cool down a little bit. So that's a very serious thing to consider if you're going to be using it for long durations of time, and especially outdoors. And you have to think about the processing power in these two devices. The video devices, it's recording, and if I want to call up the menu to check on the brightness or something like that, and I call up the menu, and don't know if you can see it, but it says menu is not available while recording. Whereas if you come down here to the Shogun and you say, give me the menu, it says, here's your menu. So you can go into your display options, you can adjust the display, you can turn on flip and other things. Let's turn that off. Looking around the device here, there's a bezel. You can see I've got a green light here. When I'm recording, this turns red. That indicates that it is powered up. Up here you can see it says 47 minutes on battery A, and there's nothing on the plug because I'm not plugged in. It takes 2 batteries, as I can show you here on the back. It takes 2 batteries. It'll show you the runtime on each. It'll cascade. It has a power port on the back here, and this power port screws in so you don't have to worry about it popping out. There's SDI in, SDI out or loop through, and then a reference jack as well. There's HDMI in and out, and this will take SDI in and feed it out HDMI, or HDMI in and feed it out SDI. So that's a handy cross converter, or for distribution if you like. There's a remote control, so that if you have to have this somewhere else, you can use link to start and stop recording on this device. The other half of this is for your media. Atomos uses these caddies that you can drop in SSDs or hard disk drives of your choice. That's really the only option with recording on these large devices, but when you're recording in ProRes or DNxHD at some big codec that really doesn't smush your video down, 4K gets very big. And using a hard drive is a great way of recording 4K with the least amount of compression possible, especially if you're going to use these recorders to record 10-bit into the recorder from any of the cameras that export 10 bits. So your 10-bit 422 is going to take up a lot of space. And hard drives or big solid state drives are way better than trying to cram it all onto a micro SD card with heavy MPEG-4 compression. So this slides right in here and connects. I'm not going to do it right now because it's actually on. And there's a release button here for the battery. So everything comes on and off very easily. The only thing that I noticed, the hard drives don't have a locking slot. So if you have it in a rough environment where it may get jostled around, you might want to find a way to actually see if you can anchor that in there, put a piece of tape across the back of it or something like that. Also, not that you can see it right now, but right here there's an LED light on the back that will also blink when you are recording, which is a great way to just make everyone aware that the device is recording. You get the confidence that it's recording, and it is another feature that I really like because I like having that hardware dedicated to just letting me know that you're recording as opposed to an on-screen display that might not be easily visible. A blinking LED can be seen across the room, so if you're walking around you can still, yep, I'm recording. That's a handy feature to have. The top just has another 1/4-20, so you can attach something else to the top, like a hood or a light or something. And then this side has your headphone jack so you can monitor the audio coming in because there's actually an audio input on the device. Right here it shows, if you click on here, I can show up to 12 different audio inputs on this device. It'll record all of that audio with the video. Now, some high-end cameras have multiple channel audio input, and that can come across SDI. So that's why this has all these different channels. Most cameras only have 2 or 4 inputs for audio, but you can use this as a recorder for production level as well. And then it gives you a master record, but since I'm not recording on here, there's no master record. It just shows the input from the camera that I'm recording on. Close that. And as you can see, it's very easy to navigate. So if I want to change my source, the trigger, I can have it trigger over SDI or HDMI. My recording, pull down. I can take my video output. I can down convert or cross convert. My recording quality, ProRes 422. I want to change that to light or HQ. And it'll tell you when the hard drive is in here how much recording time for each of the different codecs you could choose. Avid DNxHD or Apple ProRes. It records HQ 422 in light, DNxHD 220X, 220, 145, and 36. And it gives you total recording time when you change between them. So I was recording in 422 yesterday. And you click OK. And then over here, it says I have no media. It'll check the batteries. It'll show me I have 1 battery connected. It's mostly full. And then if I had a second battery or power coming in over the wire. And then I showed you these, you can record, and it brings up a menu where you can do other capabilities as well, including different display options, file naming. If you're recording with different cameras on different devices, you want to say, oh, okay, this is the JVC files, these are the GH4 files. It's nice to be able to name your files. Plus, when you start and stop, it'll auto increment your different scenes. You can change the time code, so it could be time of day, rec run, different things like that. Now, the recorder itself is very handy, like you see, I'm still holding it. It's not an issue. And the 7-inch size is a very good size. There's not a lot of extra wasted space because you figure, what's this space over here? Well, that's the power button and your input output. What's the space over here? Well, that's your HDMI in and out. And then down here, you get your SDI underneath the monitor. So realistically, there's not a lot of wasted space in this recorder. If you were to compare it to the Pix-E5, you can see that both screens seem to be about the same brightness, but outdoors, this display definitely wins. The Pix-E5 gives you a row of hardware buttons, which you'd think would be handy, but when you're actually recording, most of them are disabled except for record, start, and stop. You can't go into the menus, you can't go into your scopes or anything, whereas all of that is still able to be used on the Shogun Flame while recording. The Pix has your menu button over here. Again, power in, screw terminals. On the back, 2 batteries, and then your media. They use this little media caddy for flash RAM, and it comes in through USB, which is nice because then you just USB it into your computer. Your record light is right here, and it's visible from all around, but it's not very bright. On this side, I've got HDMI in and out, and if you had the other Pix device, it would be SDI in and out as well. And again, it'll cross convert. You've got audio input, your headphones out. This will only record 2 channels. On top, you've got your releases for your batteries and for your media, and a power button. So realistically, the Pix is also a marvel of being able to cram a lot of capability into a very small space. And you can see the bezel here is even smaller than the bezel on the Shogun Flame. These are both good recorders. These are both recording 10-bit 422 into an external high bitrate codec. They both do a great job. If I have to pick between the two of them, I go with the Shogun Flame. I like the bigger monitor. I like the fact that I can access all my controls while it's still recording, punch in, punch out, and do things like that. The video devices, they do things a little bit differently, like tapping the screen at any point is punching in, punching out. That's really convenient, whereas on the Shogun, it's in a menu, so you have to come over here and say, I'm going to punch in, and then I can go in and out, but I have to have already done that and have it up. Whereas now I'm punched in, I'm still punched in. Now I have to come over here and say, punch out. Now I'm punched out. So it's a little bit more cumbersome on the Shogun, whereas on the Pix, it's always live. Tapping in, tapping out. That's really handy. If you want to tap in, go to the right, go to the left, come back out. It's very, very handy to do that. And that's one of the things you're going to do most, I think, other than bring up your scopes, which I also really, really have always encouraged. Using scopes to be able to assess your image is the best way to do it, because using the monitor as a gauge of your actual exposure, your actual, image assessment is a very bad idea, because glare on the monitor, fatigue in the body, your eyes will adjust to different color temperatures. The monitor is the only way you're really going to be able to accurately assess what's going on mathematically. The monitor doesn't care whether you've got indoor or outdoor light. It'll show you whether your white balance is right. But I just like the operational capability of the Shogun, and it gives me a way to both see the image, assess the image, and record the image without any sort of limitations that I can find. The Atomos Shogun Flame is a great 4K recorder. And in addition to the recorder itself, I have to give props to Atomos because they ship stuff in these cases. These cases are very nice, This is just for the Shogun Flame, and it comes with die cut for the monitor, for your hard drive caddies, for your reader writer, batteries. The bottom includes the chargers, and it's a nice Pelican style case. And that's just another thing that you get to keep your investment good and to also handle all the other stuff you need with it, because it's not just a recorder, it's the media base, it's the batteries, it's the chargers, it's the adapter cables, it's everything. And they think of the fact that, yes, you need to be able to contend with all of this stuff when going in the field. Here, you got a recorder, here's a case for your recorder and everything else. And that's a really nice feature as well. With that, my name is Anthony Barocas with AIBA Communications. Thanks for watching.